read all this. Shout out Woody Page. Rest in peace around the horn.
Yeah, got the reply too.
Or not that clip, I guess it was. Hello. Okay. Bang, bang.
Man, I'm seeing some Knicks hate on the timeline right now.
About just like the Knicks suck, or just like people don't like the Knicks, or they're
Mainly people are just happy that they're suffering.
I get that. I understand.
I guess. Cole Adams said, I love this Pacers team for their extremely diverse college roster. Iowa State, New Mexico State, Dayton, Vanderbilt, Belmont, Gonzaga, Texas, Arizona, UNC. That's actually great.
Alrighty, let's do this thing. Let me fix the YouTube and we'll be good to go. We're live.
Why not? Why not us?
Man, I really wanted the Knicks to win that game.
Just to prolong the series?
Yeah, I want the series to go 7. This is just the best basketball, man.
It still could. You really never know.
Yeah, I don't think it's over. I mean, we'll get into it. Anthony Edwards. All right, we'll be live in just a second. I'm not going to lie. The other series has just kind of bugged me.
Bugging you?
It's just been, it just pissed me off.
Doesn't have as much juice.
There's reasons for that we'll talk about.
Okay.
Alrighty, I think we should be good. I think we should be good to go on everything. So let me get the chat pulled up just in case.
Oh yeah, hop in the chat. Get some live questions in here.
Okay, it is blurry, but hopefully that fixes up. That usually changes later on. So let's do this. All right, 3, 2, 1. We're live. We're live right now, recording Friday night, May 23rd at around 10:45 Eastern Time. Connor is here. The Pacers are up 2-0. This series is it's just been unbelievable basketball in just 2 games. We weren't able to record after game 1. We got stuff to talk about there, but Pacers go up 2-0 tonight. Initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts is I cannot believe the Pacers just took both games in the Garden. If you would have told me Indiana came out of these first 2 games with the series tied 1-1, I would say that's a major win for them. But to take both and to steal game 1 in the fashion they did and come all the way back after the Knicks had that huge lead, and then tonight they really controlled the game for most of the game, I thought. Like, they were never trailing. This was not some huge comeback. They were in it or leading for a lot of the game. So I'm impressed. I come away more impressed with Indiana than anything. I think that's my first takeaway.
I think that's fair. I think what everybody's takeaway has to be is, did Rick Carlisle sell his soul to the devil? What kind of voodoo magic did they come up with? Did they call Pat Riley down in Miami? Did Rick Carlisle do some seance dance that he did in 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks? What is going on here? Because it doesn't make sense. The shots that they're making at the end of these games, you go, no way. Are you kidding me? Miles Turner hitting big-time shots at the end of games. Yeah, it was kind of open, don't get me wrong. But still, Miles Turner hitting a big 3. I know he's a decent three-point shooter. The shots Halliburton's been hitting. Aaron Nesmith hitting big shot after big shot. All of a sudden, we were surprised Aaron Gordon was a clutch player. Now, all of a sudden, Aaron Nesmith is this guy now. None of this makes sense. That is how awesome the playoffs are. That is why NBA basketball can be the absolute best. It's been so much fun, but I don't have words to explain this because it makes no sense. I understand the Pacers, they play unbelievable team basketball, but I didn't expect Pascal Siakam to go off for 40 tonight. Now, I know in our preview you said, I like Pascal Siakam in this series.
I may have said that. We can touch on Siakam first. I did kind of call that. He wasn't relied on a lot in the Cavs series. He was fairly quiet. They didn't need him. They won 4-1 in that series. They didn't need him to have a huge game to pull that off. But I did say in our preview that in this series, you need Siakam. You need Siakam to be the number one guy in a couple of these games if you want to beat the Knicks. Tonight, perfect example. Pacers, they could have been happy going back to Indiana 1-1. They could have rolled over tonight. They could have come out flat, but they didn't. Siakam started the game hot. He had like 20 the first Pacers 27 points or something ridiculous like that. He started hot. He set the tone, and that's what they needed. Because there was a really good chance in my mind I thought the Knicks would come out hot and take a big lead, and that didn't happen. And I'll credit Siakam for that. The other thing is, you mentioned some of the other guys that are stepping up that you didn't expect. That was my number one bullet point I wrote down. We keep saying Indiana's this great team. Like they flew under the radar this year, had a quiet 50-win season. They're playing such great team basketball. But honestly, if you'd like really dissect it and look individually, how many of these guys have gotten so much better in the last 2 years that I never thought would be in a rotation? Aaron Nesmith, legitimate NBA starter now. Andrew Nembhard, legitimate NBA starter now. Obi Toppin, 6th, 7th man, reliable option off the bench in the playoff series. Even Ben Shepherd hitting a couple shots. These are guys that a few years ago, you would have never expected to say that about. So yes, team
Tony
basketball.
Bradley played 8 minutes tonight.
Yeah, so like yes, team basketball, they play great together, but individually, these guys have stepped up and they're all peaking at the right time. And I think that's what's working for them.
I think it is too, and I also think it's this weird thing sometimes in team sports where you almost get comfortable in these odd situations where sometimes these teams get comfortable when they're down. And it doesn't matter, the fact that this is being played in Madison Square Garden in New York City, they're almost like, yeah, this is what I want to play here. I'd much rather play here than Milwaukee or play here than Cleveland or play here than any other. Like, this is it. This is right here. We're not scared of this. We're not scared of a New York City crowd. I don't know how. I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's just, look, we've won so many close games together. We play team basketball together. I think there is a part of that, dude, because I feel like, you know how hard it would be to be a guy in the NBA that's a fringe rotation guy on most teams, and you're having to play with a guy like Luka Doncic where, look, you're sitting in the corner, you're coming in and off the bench, you're never really in rhythm. You're just expected to take 5 to 6 shots a game and make at least 3 of them. That's a brutal spot in basketball where you're just always kind of cold. I feel like everybody on this Pacers team is able to get in their own kind of rhythm and where they should be played.
I completely agree with that. It's such a tough role to ask a guy, even the best of the best, the NBA players, the professionals, best in the world. It's such a tough role to get somebody to come in cold off the bench, like you said, and hit 2 or 3 shots. And guess what? If you're not providing that offense, you're yanked. You're done for the night. You play 8 minutes that night. It's really hard to come in and immediately get warm because of the offense that guys like Luka and LeBron or, SGA to a certain extent, guys like that, the offense they run, Brunson. But with the Pacers, everybody touches the ball. You watch a Pacers possession, everybody has the ball in their hands. They're running so many actions on the backside, ball screens. Like everybody's touching the ball. Even if they're not the ones making the play, they have the ball in their hands. I think that does matter. And so many times for a young team, I know the Pacers were in the Eastern Finals last year, but they're still a young team, relatively unproven. So many times on a big stage like this, you could see a team like this crumble and not rise to the moment. But here they are in the Garden, going up 2-0. They're actually rising to the challenge. And you never want to trail in a game. You never want to have to come back from 20 down. But because they've done that so much and seen they can do it, they're almost comfortable, like you said. And that plays in their advantage as they get later and later in the playoffs.
Absolutely, but the funniest part is the Knicks are comfortable doing that. The Knicks welcome being down and coming back and having to hit clutch shots. It's just the Pacers are doing it at a better clip, which I thought would be crazy in this series because we did this in our preview. We go, okay, who would you rather have in the last minute of a game? Would you rather have Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Halliburton? And clearly Tyrese Halliburton has proved to be that guy.
Did you ever, we can go back 3-4 years. Did you ever think Tyrese Halliburton would hit this level of leading a team to, on the brink of a finals berth?
Not in the slightest.
I didn't either. I was like, oh, fun point guard, maybe a number 3 option on a winning team, but he'll never, lead the Pacers to anything. I never thought that. Hand up.
There is a real world we have to talk about, and I don't think we were ever prepared to talk about this, that the Indiana Pacers could be playing for the NBA Finals, not just playing for the NBA Finals, they could win the NBA Finals. I don't think that's an insane statement. Now, if it's OKC Indiana, which it seems like it will be, Adam Silver's nightmare, I'm picking Thunder. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably picking Thunder in 5 if we're going to be honest. But it's not a far-fetched thing to say that Indiana Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton could win an NBA Finals, because now going forward, let's say the Pacers went on and won this year's Finals. Going forward, whenever we talk about can this guy be the number one guy on a title-winning team, we're just going to pinpoint back to, well, Tyrese Halliburton did it.
Yeah, that'll be the first name brought up in every conversation of, oh yeah, Tyrese Halliburton led a team to an NBA championship. And how many guys truly took the Pacers seriously this year? How many analysts or people on social media, people on
including
TV,
us?
Yeah, did we take the Pacers seriously? No. Hand up. I was wrong. I said they're a fun team. They'll probably win 45 games. They'll make the playoffs and maybe win a first-round series. That was my ceiling for them all year long. And credit to them. They have seriously risen to the moment. So that's why I'm glad we started the show with giving them the credit they deserve, because what they're doing is so impressive, and I don't think anybody expected this.
No, they deserve all the praise in the world. The shot making at the end of these games cannot be overstated how insane this is, because it's not even like a lot of these are not wide open shots or easy shots. They're taking tough threes. I mean, Halliburton's game winner was, this exactly. It was, look, it's pickup basketball, and it's, let's say it's 12-12. You're playing to 15, 2s and 3s. No one's going to go shoot the easy 2 and try and hit 2 2s. Everybody's running to that 3-point line, and that's exactly what that was. Just sprinting back, trying to knock down that 3, and it was almost a KD toe on the line moment. He gives the choke sign. Didn't matter. That feels like 10 years ago now that we've played game 2.
Yeah, and you're spot on with the church ball comparison, because you know what everybody's thinking? I don't have the legs to trade 2s for 20 more minutes. I got to go back and either end this thing or we're going to lose. So credit him for that.
But going to the chat right now, Christian Baughan in the chat said the Knicks are not ready for the Halliburton on Sunday. This is why this is why the WNBA is light years away from being a successful, more relevant league being taken seriously, is because they can't laugh at stuff like this yet. They take it way too seriously.
And that's mild. That's mild for NBA Twitter.
The fact that New York Knicks fans are calling it the Halliburton, like, it's perfect. That's why NBA Twitter's the absolute best, and that's why this stuff is so good. The Halliburton is top 3 like Twitter nickname. I don't know what the others would be off the top of my head, but it's so good.
Yeah, that's spot on. I actually, can you believe it? I haven't heard that. That's the first time I've heard that. So that's great.
Someone's actually having a life and hanging out with their significant other, because you haven't been on Twitter then.
I haven't been on Twitter much this week, but that's hilarious and really on brand. Oh,
yeah,
man.
No, they're photoshopping Halliburton onto Osama bin Laden and calling it the Halliburton.
That's absurd. But you know what? I'm not the least bit surprised. I'm very familiar with how that works.
Oh, that's so good. It's so funny. And the choke sign was so good. I was kind of on the Tyrese Halliburton corny train, and I think me and including 80% of basketball fans, Monday night? Wednesday night, whenever. Wednesday night, game 1. I think everybody's public perception of Tyrese Halliburton changed that night and goes, you know what? Nah, this is legit.
Well, what really impressed me with that, not only the fact that he did it in game 1 off of a game-winning shot, what he thought was a game-winning shot. It's not like they were up 7 with 10 seconds left and he was doing it after the game's already been salted away. He didn't wait a second. Game 1. That's what I loved, was the timing of it.
And know what I love, too, is that in the post-game where he goes, I was scared about doing. He was honest. He was like, that was dumb of me to do that in game 1. I was very nervous about doing that.
Because if they would have blown that game in overtime, that picture would have been, I mean, it's still going to be huge moving forward, but whew.
Well, it's huge in the right way moving forward now because they won in overtime, but that would have been the Nick Young 3-point thing times 1,000.
The Kemba gif where he shimmies his shoulders and misses the shot.
Yep.
Last thing on the Pacers, since we're on game 1, what the hell happened with Aaron Nesmith in game 1? Can you, we were texting each other a little bit during that. I felt like my soul left my body watching Aaron Nesmith hit 6 straight threes in the fourth quarter. I could not believe it.
I was sitting there, my wife wasn't home, and I was just watching the game by myself, and I was talking like a homeless person on an insane amount of meth in my living room, just going, how is this happening? What is happening? Is anybody seeing this right now? What am I watching? I was just talking to myself, going crazy. I was literally standing up screaming at my TV watching the end of that game, going, this can't be happening. And Aaron, like, those I was unconscious what he was doing.
If somebody had a hidden camera in my apartment during that, I was alone like you in my living room. If there was like no audio on it, you'd see me like stand up, throw my hands up, like scratch my neck a little bit, check my phone a million times to like text everybody about it. Genuinely, I could not fathom what was going on. I've never seen something like that. A guy get that hot, and the fact that it's Aaron Nesmith and not like Steph Curry, just unbelievable. Todd, that's a great playoff moment.
I was going to say this before. I feel like the NBA scriptwriters watched the NCAA Final Four and saw Duke the way they choked and go, you know what? We're going to put that in the script in these playoffs a few times. And we've seen that countless times. The Thunder Nuggets game 1, Pacers Knicks game 1, the Pacers Cavs game 2. We've seen that 1,000 times, just egregious chokes. And these comebacks where if one tiny thing didn't happen, the comeback doesn't happen. Aaron Nesmith doesn't hit every single one of those shots. It doesn't happen. Or he doesn't knock down both of those free throws. It doesn't happen. Every single thing had to go their way for that to happen, and it did. Kind of like Houston coming back against Duke, the Nuggets against the Thunder, and this terrible coaching mistakes. It's insane, but this has been one of my favorite series, honestly, in a long time, and we're only 2 games in. And I am nowhere near prepared to say this one's over. And I think the Knicks could easily steal a game or even 2 in Indiana. I know that's crazy to say the way the Pacers are playing, but also, I mean, 39 minutes of game 1, the Knicks were a much better team.
This is a series that could flip on its head in game 3. Like you said, the Knicks could come out and win game 3 by 20, and all of a sudden it's anybody's series again. Now, the Pacers are playing so well, I'm not sure that happens, but the Knicks, don't you feel like they're going to change something up? I mean, the stat that was going around on social media all day today is the 4 teams that are left in the playoffs, their most used lineups and what their net rating is. The Knicks' most used lineup, which is their starting 5, have played 292 playoff minutes going into tonight. You know what their net rating is? That lineup, -8. -8. Pacers, the Pacers starters, plus 19.4 net rating. Wolves, plus 19.2 net rating. Thunder, plus 3.7 net rating, but they sub a lot more, so the numbers are a little off. Knicks starting lineup, almost double the minutes of anybody else's lineup, -8 net. What do you do? Mitchell Robinson's been pretty well in stretches. Deuce McBride's been effective in stretches. If you're Tibbs, where do you go? Do you start one of them and change up what you've done all year? Or do you kind of just stick it out? Because I feel like tonight, another slow start for the starting 5.
Yeah. What do you do with you can't really take Towns out, I don't think.
You need his offense, but that's why I think Tibbs likes playing him and Robinson together, because you get Towns on offense, but you get a rim protector on defense.
I mean, and that's always been the age-old tale with Towns is, you don't want to play him at the 5, but then
it worked against Boston
at the 4. Yeah.
It worked against Boston because Boston had Al Horford and, the ghost of Porzingis and Luke Cornett, so it was okay. But against a team like the Pacers,
you'd think it would work this series against, honestly, Miles Turner. I feel like Cat should be able to match up no problem against him. It's just when he gets switched, then it's over, because Miles Turner honestly adds a ton of spacing on the floor. So
yeah. I don't know where you turn to. And then you've got, the other point I wanted to bring on the Knicks side is Josh Hart. He's great all year. Second in the NBA in total minutes this year. He's a guy that you feel his impact every time you watch the Knicks. Every Knicks game I watched, especially it felt like national TV games, big games, you felt Josh Hart on both ends. He was playing 43 minutes, big offensive rebounds, tipping every ball, hitting big shots, making great passes. In this series and tonight especially, you didn't really feel Josh Hart. I know he had a little bit of foul trouble, but he has been, he hasn't been non-existent, but he has been a shell of what we've expected to see from him. And I don't know if that's because he's played so many minutes or if it's a bad matchup. I don't really have an answer, but Josh Hart has not been felt on both ends of the floor like we're so accustomed to. And I think that hurts them a lot.
And the other thing is, Bridges played very well tonight. 9 of 18, 20 points, 7 boards.
Yeah, you're happy with that if you're the Knicks. You get that out of him, you're happy.
In 45 minutes.
Yeah. Towns only played Wow. Towns and Josh Hart, 28 minutes each, huh?
You know what? But the problem is, because I know we'll do this at the end of the segment or whatever, I guess, but where we'll go, okay, do we believe the Knicks can win the series and everything?
Yeah.
What are we going to predict? And my problem with this series is it's played into the Pacers' hands so much that it feels exactly like the Cavs series. If you remember the Cavs series with the Pacers, Donovan Mitchell averaged 40 points a game in that series. Brunson's averaging 39.5 in these first two games. He's putting up big numbers. Then, okay, game one, Mobley played great, but then game two, he gets hurt. Obviously, that's a little bit different with those injuries. And then just the fact that they're up 2-0, stealing both games on the road.
And one of them being a heartbreaking loss from the higher seeded team.
Yeah, and that's my other thing is how much did that heartbreaking loss just kill the spirits of the Knicks? Because I mean, I felt like they were in it tonight. I didn't feel like they weren't trying hard or anything, or they seemed confident at the same time. It's just I feel like the Pacers were knocking down big time shots in big moments.
I think you're right, and I led the show with this, but them blowing game one, the Knicks blowing game one, made tonight a must win. That put all the pressure on New York, and I think you saw that late in this game where it became, okay, the Pacers are really playing with nothing to lose. They're playing loose. They're playing free because worst case scenario, they're leaving Madison Square Garden tied 1-1, and that's a win.
Yep.
For the Knicks, this game became a must win, and you could see them tighten up down the stretch. We didn't see, Towns subbed out with 9 minutes left in the fourth. We didn't see him come back into the scores table till 3 minutes left in the game. So he sat for most of that crucial stretch of the fourth quarter because Tibbs didn't really know what he was doing. He didn't know whether he wanted to go back to him, didn't know if he wanted to keep Mitchell Robinson in. They started hacking him. Deuce McBride was in late. There was just a lot of uncertainty from the Knicks side, and the Pacers were playing free, and you could see it on the court.
Absolutely. And this might be really dumb, and it could be really dumb, and I could get made fun of this, but
no way.
I understand when things are going well, it is probably the best advantage in the sport, having Madison Square Garden and having that crowd. But also, playing at Madison Square Garden is also kind of the biggest disadvantage because when it becomes a must-win situation, it becomes insanely tense.
Well, you could cut the tension in there in game 1 and 2 with a knife. Like, it just becomes silent. You can hear a pin drop. And in such a storied arena with so much history and fans that are starving for success, that has to weigh on you if you're playing for the New York Knicks. And guys like Jalen Brunson have embraced that. And he's been so good at the end of these games. But I think it does play a role. I don't think that's a bad take because you're in the Garden, you're down 0-1, and you're supposed to win. You're supposed to beat the Pacers. Come out short, and you feel that in the arena. I feel like as a player, you can feel that energy shift when things start going wrong.
Yeah, I think you can too, and I think the players could feel because especially Madison Square Garden, I also feel like some of the other arenas they've been messing with the audio of the crowds and whatnot. I feel like Madison Square Garden, they're just like, look, full blast this thing, whatever, because when the Garden goes from rockin' to silent, I mean, it is so noticeable when you're sitting on your couch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can hear it through the TV, so imagine being in there, being the one on the court. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad take at all.
Yeah, it's also the TNT broadcast is so much better. It's so much better. Kevin Harlan was on one tonight. I don't mind Reggie Miller. I know a lot of people don't like Reggie Miller, and I totally understand Knicks fans hating him. Like I get that. But also Van Gundy's awesome. Like it's just in the presentation and the pictures and the music and sound and everything. Like the whole presentation of a TNT playoff game is just 1,000 times better.
Well, good riddance because Michael Jordan's coming to NBC, Carter. We'll see you later. No, I agree. I like Van Gundy. He's never scared to disagree with Reggie or even Kevin Harlan. He's not scared of that. He'll speak his mind. And Reggie Miller, I mean, I'm kind of indifferent about Reggie Miller, honestly. It's almost like I'm so accustomed to hearing him call a game on TNT that it's just kind of, meh for me. It's like background noise. Like, oh, Reggie Miller's calling it. Like I'm not mad like I am listening to Corey Alexander.
Yeah, he's more like Grant Hill does fine. The same thing for me.
Yeah, he's fine. He does a great job, but he's not like standing out to me like, damn, that was a really good game he called,
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about Grant Hill. I think Grant
high
Hill's
floor, low ceiling.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's an Alex Smith quarterback. Like,
Yeah, Kevin Harlan
rock
dropped
solid.
a banger tonight. I believe player ran
Yeah,
into
let
the
me get the
table.
exact quote.
Yeah. I don't know. You're going to clip it off and post it on social, so I don't think I can say it.
Oh, I can get the exact quote for you.
I've got the exact quote.
The exact quote is, "I'm wet, I'm dirty, there's stuff all over the place." You can clip that if you want.
Yep, we're going to aggregate
I'm
that.
not afraid.
Get some views. All the people
I'm
that
not
saw your
afraid of
Woody
that.
Page tweet, your Woody Page tweet are going to come out.
Shout out Woody Page. Rest in peace. Around the horn. Such a sad. It was kind of sad. I watched some. I didn't actually watch the episode live. I did see a bunch of the thing they posted. Tony Reale did like some fun intro or whatever with it, and I saw all the goodbye stuff and everything. I was like, dang, that is kind of weird.
It is, but I'll tell you what annoys me. It's fine to be sentimental and like, oh, I'm sad it's going away.
Yes, I
All
agree.
of a sudden, people want to care now that it's the last day of the show. Where the hell was that the last 10 years? Give me a break. Don't act like you want to start caring now and you've been a lifelong fan because you watched a few days when you were 10 years old. Cut me some slack. Nobody really cares this is going away. Like, yes, you're nostalgic. It's a part of your childhood. I get it. Fond memories. Your life is not going to change one single bit with Around the Horn not on TV. Sorry.
Wait, you're saying people weren't locked in when Sarah Spain was on?
No. I'm going to tell you right now, Carter, they weren't, and that's why the show's canceled. So don't act like your life's changed because you spent a few hours every week watching that when you were 12 years old with your dad and you have fond memories. Come on. We've come a long way since then.
Oh, my gosh. What about Kate Fagan or Jamil Hill? The glory days of Around the Horn.
Yeah, that's some days of Around the Horn.
Are you in agreement that Around the Horn went too woke, Connor?
I decline to comment. Please
Next
direct
segment.
all further
All right,
questions
that's
to
what
my
I like
PR.
to hear.
Oh, no, we got to say, hey, can the Knicks come back in the series or are they cooked?
I don't think they're cooked. I think they can come back. Will they come back? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think Pacers win in 6, and that's only because I don't think the Pacers win 3 in the Garden in a game 7. So I'm going to go Pacers in 6. And this, I'd love this series to go 7. But if it goes 7, somehow I want to pick the Knicks because I just can't see Indiana winning 3 of the 4 games in the Garden. Come on.
Also, the Knicks are 5-1 on the road in these playoffs. Like, they've won in these tough environments.
Would you be shocked if it's 2-2 after we leave Indiana? I don't think
I would be at all.
Yeah, me either.
This is just elite basketball, though. It's just such a great series, and I'm all I'm rooting for, I don't care if the Pacers win. I don't care if the Knicks win. I just want to see Game 7 Knicks-Pacers in Madison Square Garden. That's what we all deserve because I think we know what's coming in the NBA Finals.
The hammer.
And let's go to that series. Thunder T-Wolves. Thunder's up 2-0. Yikes, this one's rough.
How do you feel watching this series? Because you texted me
Awful.
an interesting quote. Why do you feel that way?
I feel this T-Wolves Thunder series has been so boring and meh to watch because, one, I think ESPN has done a horrible job with the presentation of it. It genuinely feels like a regular December Friday night ESPN NBA tip-off. That's the feeling I get when I turn this game on. And maybe that's just because we know how this is going to end, or maybe that's just how these teams are playing, but it doesn't have that same intensity anywhere near close to what Knicks Pacers has. It doesn't. I don't know what it is, but it's just not there. I don't know if it's the voices of ESPN. I don't know if it's the presentation. I don't know if it's the music. I don't know if it's just the players on the floor. I don't know what it is, but it just has zero juice to this series. And it's really been uninteresting to watch. And you can say, oh, you don't like ball. You don't know ball. I don't know, man. I like ball because I'm on the edge of my couch screaming every Pacers and Knicks game for all 4 quarters. But watching the T-Wolves Thunder, even when it's close, I go, eh.
Yeah, I have to say I agree. And, the easy answer is it's a less competitive series. Knicks Pacers is a rock fight, a dog fight. It's going to be that way every game. This series hasn't really been that. But even when it started, it almost feels like you said, one of those Thursday night or Friday night tip-offs where on paper it's a really good matchup and you're like, oh, hey, Wolves Thunder on a Friday night in January. Like, I'll sit down and watch some of this. And by the third quarter, you're on your phone or you're watching something else.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say was watching T-Wolves Thunder How often do you find yourself scrolling on your phone, looking at Twitter, kind of doing other things during the game? Pacers Knicks, you are locked in. You haven't touched your phone other than during timeouts to text other people about what you're watching in Pacers Knicks.
Completely agree. Because even with OKC Minnesota, like you were saying, it's just so easy to get distracted. Even if it's, 57-49 with 10 minutes left in the third, I'm just not as interested as I am with Knicks Pacers. And I don't know what it is. Maybe, like you said, it's because we know the outcome that's coming and we've seen it 2 games in a row now, but there's just not the same level of juice. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something to do with presentation, maybe not, but it does just kind of feel like, a couple regular season games where it's, oh, hey, a great matchup, but you find yourself distracted. And it shouldn't be that way in the Western Finals. I don't know why I feel that way.
And maybe I'm the loser in the room too. I'm not the biggest fan of watching SGA. I'm just gonna say how I feel.
He wins the MVP. Look, and you want to start taking
No. I want to be look. You know me. I would have said Jokic was MVP for all these other reasons and whatnot. But I'm definitely not mad, especially at the precedent of what MVP was, and that was your argument the whole time. Look, this is what MVP is. Outside of the Russell Westbrook year was an outlier. Probably should have been that way. Probably should have gone to Harden. I'm okay with SGA winning MVP. I got no problem with that. He was awesome in the regular season. You should reward 68 games or 68 wins. At the same time, though, I'm not entertained by him. I'm much more entertained by Anthony Edwards, even Jalen Brunson, even Tyrese Halliburton, to be honest. And this more so the Pacers team as a whole. It's just not that exciting. I have more fun watching the Thunder on defense than offense.
I think that's fair, and that's actually what I was going to say is, as a whole, I enjoy watching the Thunder play basketball. They're a great team. They're probably the best team in the NBA this year. I enjoy watching them play. I enjoy watching Anthony Edwards play. I enjoy the Wolves for the most part, so that's why I'm so stumped as to why this series doesn't really have as much juice. You would think it would be a great series. Like, I enjoy watching both these teams play. And SGA is watching SGA is unethical, says Jack Harper in the chat. I don't think it's unethical, Carter. I think he takes advantage of certain rules that allow him to do that. Blame the refs if you want to, but also, if you really dig into it and watch these games, everybody's kind of doing that. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the calls, especially so far in this series for SGA, have been, even as a supporter of him, have been very questionable at best and very noticeable, I would say. But is that really his fault? He's, if it's an advantage for his team, like, I don't know.
No, it's not his fault, but I don't have to sit here and pretend I enjoy watching it.
That's fair, and I will grant you, I will concede that to you. You can say that, because I have more fun watching the Pacers. You're right.
Yeah, I have way more fun watching the Pacers. I have more fun even watching the Knicks. The Timberwolves, we'll get into a lot. We'll get into the Timberwolves. Yeah, we'll get into some Timberwolves stuff. I have a lot to dive into them because there's some real issues there. The other thing is, real quick, I want to get this comment up before it goes away too soon. Christian said, Pacers and Thunder in the finals on paper looks oddly gross. Oddly gross? I think it looks. I mean, I hate to say this as a Panthers fan, that's a Jags-Panthers Super Bowl.
Is that supposed to be a negative? Is that supposed to be a dig, Carter?
I mean, I would take that. I wouldn't think I would be so happy I wouldn't care. I mean, that's probably what the Super Bowl is going to be this year. That's week 1 of the NFL regular season, Connor. Get ready.
Your popcorn. Yeah, get your popcorn out.
Yeah, Travis Hunter, J.C. Horn, I'm ready.
Don't you think, last thing on the MVP stuff for SGA, would you say it's fair that, if the Thunder end up winning the NBA championship, he has the MVP, they won, damn near 70 games, is that we look back on this in 10 years, is that a pretty accurate reflection of this season? Because I would say yes.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd have to. The other thing is, in this, now that we've seen like the Thunder that they're probably going to cruise to the finals and maybe even cruise in the finals, doesn't this just kind of add to Jokic's case more?
I think Jokic taking this Thunder team to 7 games is, I don't like to do moral victories. I think that's an accomplishment, a personal accomplishment.
Crazy.
I think, to drag that team to 7 games with probably the future NBA champion, and really
with no all-stars on your team and with people without an arm,
without a hamstring, without an arm, with COVID,
Russell Westbrook
without a brain, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the freaking Wizard of Oz on the Denver Nuggets.
Michael Malone calling SGA the MVP after a few weeks after he was fired. By the way, actually, real quick, how the hell is he on TV?
And why?
Well, that's what I was wondering because I saw him, pop out with the countdown crew, and I was like, since when? Why is Michael Malone on TV 4 weeks after he got fired? It's not like he's a Steve Kerr where he was on TV before and went into coaching. Now he's back. It just feels so random.
Yeah, it does feel honestly pretty random. And Jack Carpenter in the chat, doing everything in my power to turn this into Nuggets talk.
Let me do you one better, Jack. We can do some mock trades for the Hornets' 4th pick real quick.
Yeah, we could get in it. Chase isn't here to trash on us about talking about the Hornets. I mean, I've been doing a lot more homework on the NBA draft lately, and I've got my thoughts. I mean, I'm feeling good about VJ Edgecombe at 4.
That's how I've been leaning too. Just first look, that's what I've been going.
I know I don't hate it. I don't hate it whatsoever. But yeah, this Thunder team. Look, the Thunder. I feel bad because I know I've talked. I feel like I've talked a little too negative on the Thunder at points where I haven't given them enough praise because I should. They've been the best team, and I'm guilty of doing this to where these top teams in the sport. I feel like I try to nitpick a little too much. UConn in college basketball a year ago, or even the top teams in college basketball this past year, the Celtics last year. I'm like, look, this is how the Mavs could win this final series. In reality, that was never happening. And I feel like I've been doing that about the Thunder, and I'm willing to accept my fate a lot earlier this time that the Thunder are winning the finals.
It does feel that way because the main question coming into this playoffs was, can Jalen Williams be a real number 2 option on this team? Or can Chet step up and be a number 2 on some nights? And yes, there's been a couple off games, but for the most part, Jalen Williams has been so much better than what we saw last playoff run. Wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's outside of Game 6?
Game 6 against the Nuggets, he had a stinker, but he has been consistently better than what we saw last year. It was noticeable, his lack of experience, lack of confidence in last year's playoff runs, but I think this year he's been great.
And you know who else has been better in these playoffs is Chet. Chet's been awesome.
Yeah, and I think having Hartenstein to back him up and Chet knowing that he is not the only big man on the court, the only option the Thunder can turn to when they need a stop like that or when they need somebody to guard the opposing team's big. You saw what they're doing against Minnesota. They put him on Jaden McDaniels in the corner and say, hey, Chet, roam around, wreak havoc, help side defense, block some shots, just sit in the corner and guard Jaden McDaniels. We'll let Hartenstein bang down low with Julius Randle or Lou Dort or Jalen Williams. And I think that's the role he's best fit for. Whereas last year, he was the only serviceable big for the Thunder, and he was on the court 40 minutes a game just getting absolutely mollywopped by opposing big men. He didn't have to take that brutal damage anymore.
Do you think if the Thunder don't pull off the Alex Caruso trade, they win the finals this year?
No, because they don't beat Denver. They do not beat the Denver Nuggets without Alex Caruso. It would have been another disappointing second-round exit for the Oklahoma City Thunder if they don't make that trade. And I'm actually glad you brought this up. I don't think Caruso would have gotten to this level if he was still in Chicago. It's just not the way he plays. Like, he would not be doing this on the Bulls. Caruso is best fit for a winning team like this where he can come in for 25 minutes a game, hit a few shots, play crazy good defense, hustle his ass off. He wasn't doing that in Chicago. That's just not the role they had him in. So I think without that move, they don't beat Denver. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think that is the sneakiest, most underrated move of the year. And I don't care what anybody says. I still think it's a win-win on both sides because you get someone in Josh Giddey where the Bulls were going nowhere. Why not go after Josh Giddey? Caruso truly has a low ceiling where you're not going anywhere. And at least Giddey, you have something to be like, look, there's potential here. And he had to get out of OKC with all the crap going on from a year ago. So I still think it's a win-win trade, even though it's going to push the Thunder over the top and probably win the finals.
It is a win-win because people are going to look at it and be like, how the hell did Chicago give up Alex Caruso, yada, yada, yada. Caruso just didn't fit their team. They weren't good enough to utilize what he does. It wasn't going to work. Caruso could not hit his ceiling with that team. And Josh Giddey, like you said, higher ceiling. He might turn into a superstar that can handle the ball and really be a big factor, but maybe not. But even so, like Caruso would never reach this level on that Bulls team.
Caruso has to be on a winning team.
This is what he does best. He's the glue guy, the ultimate glue guy for a winning team, and that's not the Chicago Bulls, the play-in Chicago Bulls.
No, it is not. No, it is not. And my other thing about the Thunder, where I will kind of give them crap for a little bit, is let's say you're in an NBA city. You're in a terrible market. Let's say you're in Charlotte. You live in downtown Charlotte, and someone says, hey, I've got extra Thunder tickets. Or 2 days later, you can have my extra Warriors tickets, and everybody's healthy. What game are you going to?
Probably going to go see Steph Curry before he retires.
Okay. Would you rather go, let's say, same thing. I've got my Thunder tickets you can have, or a few days later, I've got my Laker tickets. They're all healthy. Would you rather go see them?
Yeah, I'd rather go see the Lakers in a regular season game. I would.
Now, how many teams would you say that over the Thunder? I think
Not
it's
that
more than
many.
5.
Maybe 5. Maybe right at 5. The Thunder are pretty high on my
Boston?
list. Boston, yeah. Lakers, yeah, just because I would want to see LeBron again before he goes. The Warriors, sure.
Nuggets?
Maybe. That's like the line. Like Nuggets, Thunder are pretty right there.
Clippers healthy.
Nah. I think Thunder above them.
Timberwolves.
I think
live.
Right on that line. I think Thunder are right there. I might rather see the Thunder.
I think I'd rather see Ant live.
And that's fine. What about the Suns beating the Hornets by 40 in January? Wouldn't you rather see that?
Ooh, and not be able to move down to the lower level because the ushers are absolute a-holes at the Spectrum Center? Yeah, I'm in for that.
What about a Pistons preseason game? We sit behind the basket.
Oh, and then the usher doesn't let you move from 2 rows over when the arena has about 3% full.
Hey, you cannot stand around this tunnel. The players come through here. Meanwhile, they're signing autographs right below them.
Shout out Christian. I think he was at that game.
It's just a ridiculous event.
On the stream here, Jack said in the chat, LaMelo Ball for Zeke Naji. Trust me, guys, he's good. Fair trade to me. If Jack says he's good, then I'll do it.
Just throw in some cash considerations, and I think we're going to move forward with that.
Ooh, protected second round pick, top 37 protected.
We'll give you Mark Williams, and we'll fake his physical for you.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. Let's go to the Timberwolves side of things.
Yeah, let's do it.
There is a lot to talk about here. Let's go to Anthony Edwards first. How do you feel about him in this series?
Game 1, he was horrible. And, I've heard people say feel-out game, but for his standards, for Anthony Edwards, he just wasn't very good in that game. He didn't take over the game, which, it's a game 1. It's fine. Like, the Thunder came out hot. It was rest versus rust kind of deal. Say what you will about game 1. Game 2, he was better. He, 32, 9, and 6? Like, he was aggressive at least. I think he's played well enough for the series to be 1-1, but the people behind him haven't.
I agree with that, too. I think he was too I don't think he picked his spots well in game 2. I think he was aggressive at the wrong times, and I think he was too passive for too long, especially in that third quarter where they needed him more than ever. I mean, that's when the drought happened. They go down, 25 points or whatever in the third quarter to close the third quarter, and he took, 1 or 2 shots in that third quarter. I needed to see him be more aggressive, and then all of a sudden he put it on in garbage time for some reason. I need to see that more in the bigger moments, but the bigger point is he just doesn't have enough help, and it all goes back to the Rudy Gobert trade. You can say it goes back to even the Rob Dillingham trade. No. It goes back to the Rudy Gobert trade. The fact that they traded all these assets for a guy that is a negative on the offensive end is just unacceptable. That is what's ruined this franchise. That's what's going to lower Anthony Edwards' ceiling as a NBA champion. And that's what's preventing the Timberwolves from becoming a great team is, look, it's great in the regular season. He's going to help them to get to 50 wins and get a 6th seed in the playoffs. But he is not going to get you to the NBA title because guess what? He costs too much money to build around too, because you got to have 3 real offensive options on a team, and that just limits you so much when you're paying a guy $40 million a year.
Is he the second highest paid player on the team? Whatever. If you're in the top 3 highest paid players on your team, you can't be a 0 on offense. And that's the problem. Especially
he's not even a 0.
NBA.
He's a negative.
I'm not trying to bust balls here, but didn't you say this would be a big Gobert series coming into this?
I did, and I thought he would play well. I didn't say he'd do anything offensively. I thought he'd play great defensively, and that's even the bigger point is he's been dog crap defensively. He's been terrible. And there's no defending Rudy Gobert at this point. I don't want to see jack about plus minus numbers and whatnot. There is a reason the coaching staff doesn't trust him to stay in these games. It's because he gets switched and then it's barbecue chicken every time. And you know what? Even in this series, when he's guarding Chet Holmgren's been doing just fine against him. And that should not be okay when Gobert is literally taller, stronger, and more physical than him, and Chet is working him. There's no excuses anymore with their Rudy Gobert stuff. It's a real problem, and that's what's going to cost the Minnesota Timberwolves an NBA title is because they mortgaged their future for this guy that can't help you offensively at all, and he's also not even offering anything defensively outside of the regular season. And he's gotten double digits twice in these playoffs, Connor. In 12 games, he's gotten double-digit points twice. I understand he's not an offensive threat, but when the first 2 rounds of the series were against teams that didn't have centers, I don't know, man. I think you should be a bit of a lob threat in that series.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And in a series like this where the Thunder do have the guys, the big men down low to kind of combat that, you're right. He's been a zero, and he's been played off the floor. And a lot of times you see with the Timberwolves with this roster makeup during the regular season, even in the playoffs a lot, and you can go back to last year, some of those Gobert minutes or lack thereof are covered up because Naz Reid comes in and kicks ass. Or this playoffs, Julius Randle comes in and plays insanely well, which we've seen all playoffs long. Naz Reid in this series, Carter, is, 4 for 19 and then 0 for 12 from 3 through 2 games. 0 for 12 from 3 through 2 games for Naz Reid. So when he's putting up a big goose egg in the 3-point line, when Julius Randle only has 6 points last night and doesn't even close the game, all of a sudden those Gobert minutes become a lot more noticeable and a lot more detrimental because there's nobody behind him that's picking up the slack.
If Naz Reid just stopped playing basketball after the Lakers series and said either like I have some undisclosed illness or I'm not playing, whatever, the Lakers would have made him probably an extra $20 million a year this offseason. And
he still probably will. No, he'll
make a good amount. He'll make at least 20, 25 million. He's going to make a good chunk, but I think he's probably cost himself about $20, $30 million as a whole at least. The way he was playing in that Lakers series, if he would have done that the entire playoffs, all of a sudden the Timberwolves would have been like, now we have a real problem here and we have to do this. Now there's no way they end up re-signing him because they're not going to be able to afford him in this offseason.
They keep saying
you're right. Rudy Gobert is making $35 million this year or next year. He's making 43 this year. It actually goes down, but he's still the second highest paid player on this team. He's actually making more than Anthony Edwards this year. He's actually the highest paid player on this Timberwolves roster this year by $1 million.
What's Julius Randle making this year?
33, then 30 next year. I think it's a player option though, so I think he'll go into free agency, wouldn't he?
I don't know. He might pick that up. Might pick that one up.
I feel like he might go get into free agency and say, "Hey, I'd like to go get a 4 or 5 year deal."
Yeah, you're probably right. Last night didn't help his case though. He 6 points, 2 for 11 shooting, couldn't close the game. And then another thing coming into the series that I touched on, Mike Conley, non-factor last night. I said this. Timberwolves' lack of a lead guard ball handler that comes out every single night and can play 35 minutes. Conley's great in stretches. He's great for certain games. But hey, guess what? They played on Monday night. Or no, they played on Tuesday night and then turned around and played Thursday. This 1 day break, you know who that doesn't benefit is Mike Conley. And he was flat last night. 3 points on 1 for 6. Just not involved.
Yeah. This is going to pain you to hear this. Julius Randle feels like a Hornet.
No, Carter.
That feels like a 4-year Hornet signing where he's making $120 million over 4 years.
That's the Gordon Hayward special. Let's sign a veteran to come in with these young guys because we think it'll put us over the top. Yet you don't get above a 9 seed.
I can see him right now in a Hornets jersey. It fits too well.
Does it fit? Does it fit our roster? Does it fit the Hornets roster, Carter?
No. It fits the idea of the Hornets being mediocre poo-poo.
It's like, oh my gosh, the Charlotte Hornets out of nowhere have offered Julius Randle a 5-year, $230 max offer sheet.
Yeah, that's happening. But I
T.
just
John
can't get over the
Salon
Rudy
in 50th straight game in the Greensboro Swarm.
He's going to get his jersey retired. He's going to play there 10 years. The only player to play at a G League team for 10 years.
He'll be hung up there with book nights.
Rudy Gobert, he's 32 now. By the end of his contract with the Minnesota Timberwolves, he'll be 36, 37. That gets really scary.
That's untradeable. You talk about Michael Porter Jr.'s contract being untradeable, some of these contracts being unmovable. Who the hell is going to take on Rudy Gobert's contract? They're stuck.
They're absolutely stuck. And I just don't know how you build around that. And also, I do think the Rob Dillingham thing is a real point because maybe you could have traded the pick or something for a decent asset or whatever. But I'm okay with that gamble with a guy like Rob Dillingham. It was kind of a cheap gamble. The Rudy Gobert one is just, look, it came back and bit him because you have to be able to pair Anthony Edwards with someone that can help him offensively. He's taking too much of a burden that outside of Nikola Jokic, I don't think anybody in the league can handle.
And how is it gonna look when they lose Naz Reid and then keep Gobert and then Naz Reid goes and plays so well for, the Pistons or somebody next year? Mm-hmm. How's that gonna look? Minnesota Timberwolves fans are gonna be pissed. And the other thing with the Wolves is they have 8 guys, sometimes 7 when Mike Conley doesn't have it. They have 8 guys in their rotation. They've had it all year. Who are the 2 teams that are up 2-0 into the series right now? The Pacers, who consistently play 10, 11 guys, and the Thunder, who consistently play 10, 11 guys. They might not play 10 guys every playoff game, but throughout the regular season, there is legitimately 10 to 11 rotation pieces in that team. The Wolves have 8 guys, period. Nobody else behind them, and they're down 0-2.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Dylan in the Twitter chat said, Kevin Harlan is wet, ? Yeah, that happened.
All-timer. We'll have to put that on the list with the Eric Collins quotes.
Jack in the chat said, Michael, bring your own ball buddy Porter Jr. isn't an unmovable contract, but I bet he stays in Denver.
I think that's right. I bet he does stay in Denver because if you try to move him, I don't think the Nuggets would get back, in their mind, fair value for him, for what they value him at. I don't think anybody would give them a good enough return to warrant moving him.
And I know people have kind of disputed this a little bit, but I still believe there is a bit of the Stan Kroenke Missouri connection with Michael Porter Jr., where he likes having a Missouri guy on his roster. Because Stan Kroenke's a weird guy and a weird owner and kind of quirky. And I feel like that's one of his things. He would just love to keep a guy from the Missouri Tigers on his roster for no reason.
He just turns on highlights from the championship season of Michael Porter Jr. in the playoffs and his best games. He's like, how can I trade this? Look what he did.
And he's like, look, if they really wanted a Missouri guy, they could just get Jordan Clarkson in the building. I think he's available this offseason.
Is Jonte still available, or is he done?
I don't think Jonte's available.
Okay. Just curious.
I don't think Jonte's eligible. That would probably be the better way to put it. But yeah, man, I mean, it just sucks this series. I was excited going in. I was like, okay, what can we see with Ant and the Timberwolves and everything? This feels like a sweep.
I agree with you. It feels like a gentleman's sweep. I might give the Wolves game 3, maybe. But if it's 4, I'm not going to be shocked at this point. The question I want to ask you, these NBA playoffs have been so great so far with so many great moments, so much end of game drama, game winners, buzzer beaters. Are you a little worried that once we hit the finals, it's going to lose steam and the Thunder are just going to win 4-1 and it's not going to be as exciting?
Extremely worried, but I hope that doesn't happen. Because I feel like that's what we've dealt with the last 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because even the year Denver won it, that Miami-Boston series in 23 was insane. The Celtics almost came back from 3-0. And then the finals you knew what was going to happen there. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And then last year, we knew the Celtics were winning that against Luka and the Mavs. We knew the Mavs didn't have enough.
They're just overmatched. And I feel like that, I don't know. We'll see. The Thunder haven't been there before either. So if they make it, there's always a chance they poop themselves. You never know.
Yeah, and knock on wood that everybody stays healthy at this point because I'm tired of seeing injuries and everything because one more injury goes down, that just determines the playoffs.
It really just kills the vibe when, one of these really, really talented players goes down and it becomes oh, if Curry can return by game 5, the Warriors might have a chance. Or, oh, if Aaron Gordon's able to play in game 7, like maybe. That just kills the vibe when you're waiting on injury news. Guys are playing hurt. You're hoping somebody comes back while the series is still active. It just really ruins it.
Yep. And then Jack said, "Can Drew lock ball?" And then Christian in the chat said, "If both conference finals end up sweeping, we'd go like a whole 8-9 days until the finals. That would blow."
Adam Silver might have to come in and work some voodoo magic with the TV partners,
Ooh.
TV deals.
A new midseason cup. A new midseason cup. We'll sponsor it. The Karterkast will sponsor it.
They'll change the rules to where the top 14 teams in the lottery all play for an extra pick.
Yeah, no, it's going to be bad. And it doesn't help that the Hurricanes are just getting absolutely bent over against the Florida Panthers. I mean, they look like they haven't played hockey. It looks like a South Park episode with the Hurricanes on the ice. It's a disaster there. Yeah, sports aren't great right now for us, but they never are.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, what's the baseline? What's the average for that? Come on. This is right on par.
Carolina Hurricanes have officially established themselves as the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, Toronto Raptors.
What, make the conference finals and just get ran through?
Yeah, and not even have a chance. Everyone knows you're phony. Everyone knows you're fake. I feel like every real hockey fan was like, we know the Canes are fake. Can we get this over with?
One of my good friends here in Tennessee is a big Florida Panthers fan, funny enough, from Florida. And we were seriously considering going to one of these Canes games in North Carolina. Thank God we didn't, because that would have just been miserable. I'm not even a big hockey guy, but that just would have been fun.
But if it ends up if it's somehow miracle 2-2, you got to go to Game 5. That's worth the trip.
We'll see. We'll see what the prices are. I'm not a big enough hockey fan to
Tickets aren't that bad. They were less than I thought.
I'd go to Raleigh and hang out with Van Allen Lubin, the newest NC State Wolfpack member. Don't worry.
I do want to talk.
He tweeted. That it was just a formality, Carter. He was coming back.
I want to talk about NC State at the end of this podcast, but back to Thunderwolves real quick. Last thing to put a bow on this. Would you be shocked at all if the Timberwolves came back in the series and made it 2-2?
No, I wouldn't, because I think they're talented enough to do it. I think Anthony Edwards has the ceiling to do it. He could go off over these next 2 games, and I wouldn't be stunned if it was tied up going back to OKC. I would still pick the Thunder to win it. If it's 2-2, I'm still feeling very confident in OKC's chances. But would you be shocked?
I think I'd be pretty shocked at this point. I just really feel like OKC's defense has stepped up into a whole new level that Anthony Edwards just really needs someone else to step up, and I don't trust anybody else on this Timberwolves roster to step up in a real way against this Thunder defense.
I think that's fair. And seeing that stinker by Julius Randle in Game 2, I would not be shocked if we saw another one of those. As well as he's been playing, that's always in there.
And he should be having success in this series. I feel like him going against Chet or even Hartenstein, I feel like that's a solid matchup for him and what you'd want. And he's just a shell of himself of what he was in the Warriors series. But also, maybe we have a little distorted view of the Timberwolves after 2 extremely easy series. Well, look, we misjudged the Lakers and put too much stock into the regular season. That defense was a joke, and that defense was horrendous. And then the Warriors, let's say Steph Curry stays healthy. That's the 7-game series.
And let's be honest, the Wolves were tracking to be in the play-in tournament until the last week of the season. So let's not act like they dominated the West all year either.
Yes, if they don't win that miraculous double overtime 60-20-20 game Nikola Jokic had, they're in the freaking play-in.
Yeah, and we're having a very different conversation. They're probably not here right now because they don't have that path.
I don't know. I still think they would have taken
care of the
Rockets.
They're probably still here. Yeah, they're probably still
and
here.
And they're taking care of the Grizzlies. And I don't think the Cancun Kings and the Cancun Mavericks were doing anything in the play-in. So.
Well, of course the Mavericks weren't. They were just waiting to get Cooper Flag.
Well, that was the plan all along, so we didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly. Script writers.
Anyhow. Other stuff going on. NC State. Darian Williams commits to NC State. Apparently now PJ Haggerty is now not a target for them. I don't like that. I think they needed both of those guys, so that kind of lowers my ceiling on NC State a little bit, but they're still absolutely an NCAA tournament team. They need to get more guards.
My only statement on this is NC State basketball, or NC State anything with expectations, feed it to me. I want them to be preseason top 25. I want the fan base to get excited and say, oh, this is the year for NC State. We're going to go back to the NCAA tournament. We're going to make a run. Feed all of that to me. Please. I love that because it ends in a crashing, burning fire every single time. Even if Carolina sucks. As long as they're crashing and burning too, whatever.
What about Duke?
I've given up. In this era of Carolina basketball, I am just so hurt right now as to what's going on with the program and the roster construction. I'm just a little complacent as far as Carolina Duke goes because Duke is head and shoulders above Carolina in recruiting, guys that want to come there and play. It's no longer, oh, Duke or Carolina recruiting battle. Guys want to go to Duke. You know who guys don't want to go to is Hubert Davis in Carolina. So I'm a little complacent right now. I don't know how you feel.
I mean, that's just how it is. You want to go to Duke. You want to go to the brand that is Duke. And look, you can say that, obviously I think Roy Williams had more recent success than Coach K, obviously, and Hubert Davis, but consistently sending guys to the NBA, that's the number one recruiting tool you got to have, and Carolina just doesn't have that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Ian Jackson will probably be a first-round pick. He transferred. Drake Powell's entering the draft. He's not going to be a first-rounder. As much as it hurts me to say, you want to go to the NBA, Carolina's not really a top place to go to do that. It's really not.
And I just really don't understand the roster construction this season because, okay, you push Elliot Cadeau out the door. RJ Davis is gone. Ian Jackson, I don't think he was necessarily welcomed back, and I think he had one foot out the door once Ramadan started, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then Seth Trimble, you're going to get a much bigger role next season. They overcorrected with the size where they go, we got to have size, and they spent all their budget on sizes. You forgot this is still a guards game. You just went too big on guards last year and forgot to get your size. There is absolutely no balance in the way Hubert Davis has been constructing his rosters, and that's the number one problem.
I think Vesar is going to be great. I'm so glad Carolina has a real big man, but like you said, it's a guards league. It's a guards, the sport is based on guards, and it almost feels like Carolina got stuck with, oh, this guy was from a Power 5 school. He had decent numbers. He's not asking for a lot of NIL money. Let's bring him in. Let's just try to hodgepodge, piece something together, and hopefully one of these transfer guards we bring in will step up to the plate. That's not a guarantee.
Look at the NCAA tournament. Even though Duke had a much more size than Houston, it didn't matter. Houston's guards won out. Their tallest player was a 6'7 center, 6'8 center. And then you look at Florida. If Walter Clayton isn't playing, they're not sniffing. They're losing in the second round of UConn at that point, without question. So you got to have guards in this sport, especially in college basketball. And I have real concerns about Carolina. Like, I'm not even trying to do the Duke Carolina thing. I genuinely want Carolina to do well in the regular season because you want the ACC to do better. You want the rivalry to matter. But heck, man, I don't know if you're a Carolina fan, I don't know what you get excited about. You just have to talk yourself into Caleb Wilson proving that maybe he's a top 3 pick next year. But tell you what, the other guys that are sitting there at the top 3, AJ DeBansa and Darren Peterson, they are elite.
You know what you have to be excited about as a UNC fan is the new engagement of Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson. Carter.
Yeah, congratulate him. Send him a gift. Send him a Bed Bath & Beyond gift card.
Don't mail it to the UNC athletic facility, though, because she might not be able to have access to it if you do that. So be careful.
I think she's got access. I think
she's got a key card for every room in that building. Come on.
Do you think she's been using some of Hubert Davis's NIL money for her own real estate portfolio, and that's why you guys can't get a point guard?
That's a good theory. She's also coming after Airbnb on Twitter for releasing some footage.
I did see that, but I like that though.
Yeah, honestly, that's the right move.
I don't think Airbnb should be able to just share their Ring video doorbell cameras with TMZ and like that's without question an invasion of that's like a hotel just having a live feed of their lobby. You can't have that.
We're about to see a PR campaign to get Bill and Jordan back on the public's good side. Just wait. Carolina starts going, winning a few games. All of a sudden, it's a love story and a successful football
Winning
season.
solves everything.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this is exactly the excitement that Belichick needed.
Jack in the chat said Carolina going to start selling sleeveless torn sweatshirts. 1,000% they will when they
already
win
have
their first 2 or 3 games.
No, listen,
are
they are, well, the torn part maybe not, but they've already started selling the short sleeve sweatshirts with the hood on them for Belichick. As soon as he signed that contract, they were on a lot of these stores.
Yeah, that checks it. I'm going to need if Carolina's good, you're going to have to buy one and put some holes in it yourself.
I think you're right. And wear it to a game. I'm going to make it out to Chapel Hill for a game this year. Maybe big hitters only in person. We'll see. Taking a little break right now.
Will Wade, real quick. I still love last thing on the Carolina basketball part of it. This was kind of my reason why I believed it was time for Hubert Davis to go, and I think Hubert Davis is a really good coach. I don't question that. I think his in-game coaching and when he can prep, especially when he has time to prep for a team, I think he does really well. It's roster construction, and that's the whole name of the game right now in the NIL era. I also think donors are a little more hesitant to put up more money for him, and they're a lot more willing with Belichick because it's new, it's fresh, it's holy crap, 6 Super Bowls, this is Belichick. I almost felt like Carolina needed to do that this year with Hubert Davis, because imagine if Will Wade came into this Carolina program. Guess what? You guys are getting anybody you wanted in the portal because donors were coming out of the woodwork to donate.
It's a lot harder to justify donating a shit ton of money to somebody who was on the hot seat for the majority of the last couple of years in a lot of fans' eyes. Because it's gone stale. You start to not believe in the guy, and you start to blame all the problems, whether they're his fault or not. It kind of all falls back on him, roster construction, in-game management, all of that. If I'm a donor, you're right. It's harder to give a big check to the university when you've seen that disappointing product for the last couple of years. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
But that's the reason they hired Jim Tanner in this front office, and Jim Tanner on the basketball side and Lombardi on the football side. You're supposed to take that roster construction element and give it to them. It didn't help this year.
The Tanner thing I didn't quite understand was you kind of needed someone who was really, really deep into the recruiting game and really deep into college basketball as a whole. And he's in the pro games, and that's a big difference right there. When especially when you're evaluating talent like that, yeah, we could get into it with BYU stuff. I could compare all day. We don't need to. The last thing I will say is Carolina could have never hired Will Wade because that marriage would have never made sense. Will Wade was destined. It was always meant to be the NC State head coach. Mark Gottfried was like the seed, and now Will Wade's going to be the booming flower that comes out because that's exactly who they needed in Raleigh. And I'm excited for it. So,
how many years does Will Wade stay there before you leave for the SEC? 3 max?
No, I think he's there for the long haul. I think NC State's going to put up money.
If NC State basketball.
If NC State wins in basketball, he gets money. He will get the money. NC State has no problem paying their coaches if it comes to that point. Dave Doran's making a ton of money. Dave Doran, you know how I feel about Dave Doran.
I feel the same way.
We got some other stuff in the chat. Any NFL futures for this season? Hope is for the Panthers. Got me in love with their over 6.5 a win total. Panthers are at 6.5. I haven't looked at a lot of win totals this year.
Division's wide open.
They are at 6.5. I mean, you look at the Panthers schedule. I love them going 7-10 at least, especially when they go from the worst defense in NFL history to probably, I don't know, 25th to 20th defense in the league.
Yeah. Sure.
Fair jump with all the signings they made and revamping everything and everybody being healthy for this season, bolstering up the offensive line, adding new weapons. I love the Panthers over 6.5 wins. And then Jack in the chat said, y'all nervous for week 8, Panthers week 6 out. I'm assuming he meant week 6 when we play the Cowboys. Not nervous for that one. I think George Pickens will penalty his way out of that game, as Dylan Wilkerson once said, and I think the Panthers take that one.
Jack, if Bryce Young outplays Dak in that game, you should probably deactivate Twitter for a little bit. I just put that out there.
You should. Yeah, you should.
We're taking no prisoners on the Bryce Young train this year. It's do or die time, Karter.
It is do or die time. I'm so excited. Panthers are a 2.5-point dog against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over under in that game's 46.5. I cannot wait.
Give me the over. It's blind.
Blind over. Oh yeah, dude. I hope to see. I really want to see Travis Hunter play both sides of the ball in that game, though.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
A
lot of eyeballs on that game.
Going through this right now, the Atlanta Falcons win totals at 7.5.
Penix.
So they really believe Tampa Bay is walking away with this division.
What other conclusion can you come to right now? At this point,
they're at 9.5.
That's a little high.
Chase is probably going to text us right after this because I'm sure he was watching or whatnot, or he's going to listen to the pod afterwards. He is so all in on the Patriots this year, and they have no weapons.
What's their win total? 6.5.
They have the second best odds in the division. The problem is their divisions outside of Buffalo is awful. The New England Patriots win total is at 7.5 at -150.
Nah, that's absurd. I love Drake May. That's absurd.
The Ravens are -140 to win the division.
I saw the Bills were favored to win every game this season.
Yeah, I mean that's just that. I feel like my prediction is that Dylan's going to be pretty anti-Bills this season. I think he's going to go anti-Josh Allen, and that's going to be his lean.
Spot on, anti-Josh Allen. Dylan loves to Zach. If he hears they're favored in every game, that's it.
I think we're figuring out Dylan a little bit.
I think it's been long enough now with him on the show to kind of get some of his tendencies down, make some predictions.
I saw you could get the Saints to have the worst record at +500. I know that's pretty low for that, but I love it.
I'll be honest, I would have rather bet that with Derek Carr starting. Because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Then Tyler Shuck.
Rattler. Jake Haener can sling the pill, Karter.
I think the Raiders are plus like 1,500 on it or something to have the worst record. And I know they've got some decent pieces, Pete Carroll and everything. At the same time, that division's brutal.
That's a good bet. Dolphins, they're going to be bad.
Nah, Zach Wilson's going to take him to the promised land.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Come on.
Quinn Ewers might play for him.
We've never seen Zach Wilson with a real team before.
And we're still not going to.
Yeah, we will. He'll play, and you'll be like, oh my gosh. Here we go. I have it right here. Conference winner, futures. Oh, where'd it go? Player futures. Yeah, they have so many futures on all these sports books right now.
I'm staying off till August. Don't even tantalize me.
Cowboys beat the Panthers, or I'll buy the entire Karterkast crew. Triple dippers. This is our year. That only includes Connor and I because Dylan's going to bet the Cowboys in that game.
Yeah, 100%. Screenshot that. We're taking you up on that.
We have a deal, Jack. Jack, how about you fly to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we'll go to the game together, and we can see the bet happen in person.
I'll take you to Hooters.
We'll take you to Hooters. We'll go Biscuitville in the morning, Hooters after the game,
cook out at 3 a.m.
Yep, there we go. Gosh, that sounds like death, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Anything else? Anything in the news? Any sports? Anything?
Nah, nothing. I think we hit on just about everything.
Yeah, I'm looking through some football.
We did a little sprinkle of everything.
I'm excited for football. I'm excited for football.
It's getting to that point, getting that itch. One NBA game a day, it's not cutting it.
No, it is not. I'm going to be looking at college football preseasons, all this stuff. I guess we're not talking BYU for a little bit on this podcast.
Guess we'll hold off on that one.
Yeah, we're have to hit the fat pause button on the BYU football for a minute. So, yeah, might not be in on BYU football this year. I'll just put it that way.
Good to know. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah. Put that in the tickler file. The conference seating. Did you see, or the playoff seating? Did you see they're getting rid of the conference champion gets top 4?
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that because,
I mean, it's just the Big Ten SEC Invitational. It's just going to what we all know it was going to.
And I guess that devalues the conference championships even more now because it's strictly up to the committee and it's not, hey, win your conference, you get a bye.
Yeah, at the same time, I don't know. I guess it does and it doesn't because if you do win it, then say you're like an SMU, like you get in. Yeah,
but let's say you're like 9-3, and then you win the conference championship, and they're like, actually, this SEC team that didn't win it was 11-1. They're going above you.
But they can't be. They're in the playoffs still, at least.
Well, yeah, you should not get the bye.
Yeah, and I don't think you deserve the bye at that point.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I think I'm not mad at it.
Jack said, "I'm so in. Just don't tell the fiance." All right, Jack.
Lips are sealed.
Find a flight to Charlotte or Greensboro. Lips are sealed. We won't tell the
Breeze,
fiance. But
Breeze Airways.
all right, that's it. We're done here. Make sure to subscribe at Karterkast on everything, at Connor_Sparrow, at CarterBA, at Karterkast on everything. Download SeatGeek. Use code Karterkast. $20 off your first purchase. $50 minimum purchase required. Terms and conditions to apply. Download SeatGeek and go use the SeatGeek app as well. I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else to plug. We'll
Good
be back.
show.
We'll be back after probably some game threes. We'll probably be back Monday, I believe. We'll keep you posted on that. Follow on social media for that, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.